So, what's new? Well, I've been working nonstop for a while now, barely getting a break. Alkaline Trio and Blink-182 released new records. Battle for Azeroth came out since last we spoke. Diablo Immortal was announced. That was fun. What else? Well, I bought a new TV. Bought a nice bookshelf. That was sweet. I rewatched a few TV shows. Oh, of course. You're here for BlizzCon news. Diablo 4 was announced. Finally. The day has come. Diablo 4 is real. Oh, I'm so relieved. Having seen everything they showed us, I'm so relieved. I think is the main takeaway I have from this entire BlizzCon. But before we dive into Diablo 4, let's talk about the other 4 big announcements they had. Hearthstone. I'm sorry I'm not really into Hearthstone. That trailer was fun, but I'm not really into the game at all. But like I said, it looked fun, so I hope people enjoy it when it finally comes out and they end their year-long story. Overwatch 2. So from what I understand, the multiplayer will be compatible between both games. The only thing differentiating them from the sounds of it is that Overwatch 2 has a story mode and a hero development-esque mode where you play different heroes and level them up and unlock new abilities and stuff. I like how they avoided the biggest problem in the entire FPS genre by dividing their community with, well, map packs and new releases. So big up to the boys on that one. Now, I said there were 4 big things. And there were 4 big things, but there was one game that was kind of brushed under the rug that I want to talk about. And that's Warcraft 3 Remastered. It was announced last year. It's developed by a classic games group within Blizzard. And my big hope is that they one day tackle Diablo 2. But before they tackle Diablo 2, they need to finish Warcraft 3. And I'm really excited to replay Warcraft 3 and enjoy the campaign and everything like that. But didn't get much spotlight during BlizzCon. It had 1 panel. Now, there have been data mines and stuff going up on Wowhead for a few weeks now with almost every model in the game. So we basically know what everything is going to look like. And also, I've been playing the beta. The first game I played, I did a 2v2 to warm up just so I didn't get like someone beating the ever-living hell out of me and leaving me to rot. But then when I joined the 2v2 game, my teammate left 40 seconds into the match and I had to manage 2 different towns. That was not as easy as I had hoped because it separated the economies and I had to manage everything separately and it made it really messy, and I attacked the guys. I did a bit of damage and then they wiped me out because they were 2 people controlling a bunch of units and I was 1 person controlling a bunch of units that were separated in a very, very clunky way. I have no idea if that's how groups worked in Warcraft 3 Original, but that's the way it happened to me in Reforged. I did, however, really enjoy the game from what I've played so far after that. Apparently they're adding undeads to the beta later this week, and they will be adding custom games, and they will be adding night elves down the line to the beta. It's like the big stuff they announced at BlizzCon, and they talked about a few matchmaking things and stuff like that, in case you didn't see the panel. But I'm really excited for Warcraft 3 to come out. It's probably the game I'm the second most excited for from BlizzCon 2019. What else happened? World of Warcraft Shadowlands. You might not know this about me. I've been playing WoW for a very long time. I've been into Warcraft since before Warcraft 3 came out, at least. I mean, I'm born early 90s, but I still played Warcraft 2 a lot. I don't really remember if I ever played the campaign. I will down the line because I really want to do like a basic covering lore series on both Warcraft and StarCraft. Yes, I am going to make more lore. And now we got the trailer of World of Warcraft Shadowlands. And people are divided on how they feel about the trailer. I was not sure if I liked it at first, the cinematic, because I wanted to see Bolvar kick some ass, and I feel like he gets clowned in the cinematic, like really bad. He does hit her with a giant boulder though, so that's cool. Everything until it cuts to black is perfect, and then everything after the cut to black is very divisive. Here's what I've come to realize though, after having had a bit of time to like reflect on the entire cinematic. I kind of like that they destroy the helmet. I'm very bored of Sylvanas at this point. I don't really care about her character anymore, and I don't want her around, and I hope this is the last expansion with Sylvanas. But I do kind of enjoy the fact that they break the helmets, because even though Bolvar has been the Lich King for a long time now, and sitting on the throne for almost 10 years, he never really did anything. He did some scheming in Legion, and he gave us some cryptic responses in Battle for Azeroth. But for all the time he's spent on the throne, he's mostly just been sitting there, basically guarding the entrance to the Shadowlands, without us knowing. Also, they said that he apparently knew Sylvanas was going to attack, and that's why he started raising new Death Knights to prepare for her arrival, which is a neat detail. But what I have come to like about this is that it solidifies Arthas as the one true Lich King. Because even though Bolvar had the helmet for a long time and sat on the throne for a long time, he was never presented as a big looming threat over the world, or like a big story character. He was never presented as the big bad Lich King. It was always Bolvar sitting on the throne, and we were always curious what he was going to do. But now, neither we nor the developers need to worry how they're gonna have to write Bolvar to have a more impressive story arc than Arthas, because they can't. It's impossible. Well, it's not impossible, but it's it's a really, really difficult task, because so many people love Arthas and got a whole strategy game to appreciate him as a character. What they don't have to worry about now is recreating that with a different character and trying to overshadow the old one. Because now Arthas is and forever will be the Lich King. Even though Ner'zhul is in the helmet, Arthas is the Lich King for people. And Bolvar isn't. And that's fine. Because they said at the conference that Bolvar survived. And he's going to be involved in the storylines, but he's not going to be the Lich King. And that's a good thing, in my opinion. I wanted him to wreck some ass as the Lich King. But I'm going to see him wreck some fools as Bolvar. And that's cool. I'd rather have him be his own big character instead of just being a puppet to the helmets. Because you can only redo a storyline so many times before it doesn't work anymore. See the faction war and WoW. The big reveal. Diablo 4. How do I feel about Diablo 4? I'm incredibly excited. And when the trailer started rolling, I didn't dare to believe it was actually a Diablo game. I didn't accept the fact that it could be a Diablo game until they went into the actual room at the halfway point through the cinematic. And now that I look back at it, the town at the beginning, obvious throwback to Diablo 1. I did not pick up on that when I watched it. Somehow that went right over my head. And when you see some runes on the floor and stuff, I didn't really recognize any of them, really. I mean, I think there's a wavy one that definitely looks like one of the runes you can socket, but that didn't register for me either when I was watching it, because I didn't want to hype myself up too much. I was questioning it until he got thrown into a pillar by one of the other Tomb Raiders. And I saw his satchel and the scrolls and stuff, and I was like, okay, he's basically wearing Horadrim gear. This has to be Diablo. I feel like they felt they needed to make up for a lot of things this year. And there's been some stuff recently they really had to acknowledge. And with Diablo, we got a 9-minute cinematic. That's not something we usually get out of Blizzard. And I feel like we only got the 9-minute cinematic because we got Immortal last year, which didn't get a release date this year either, for some reason. In the actual cinematic trailer, however, I love the way that Blizzard's cinematics just come to life. Blizzard's cinematic team and art teams overall are second to none. They're fantastic. They always knock it out of the park, and this trailer is no exception. Just the faces and the details in this trailer, it's insane, all of it. In the trailer, we get to see this big tall, bald guy. I think it's supposed to be Rothma, but I'm not entirely sure. I think it's Rothma because he says mother.
Blessed mother.
Stuff like that, so I think it's Rothma, but I want to see confirmation on that because I'm unsure why he would be doing what he's doing. The way the sound is made, like the sound design when he starts reciting the words at the end.
Speak the words. Call her home.
By 3, they come. By 3, thy way opens. By the blood of the willing, we call thee home.
Fantastic. It's so well done. It goes quiet for a few seconds and then everything kicks in at the same time as he slowly floats into the air and turns upside down against the pillar. Fantastic. And then the way the entire blood and guts web is created and how she just breaks through. It's so well done. And then at the end that it's actually like a giant cloak or something. It's awesome. What about the actual gameplay? Well, let me tell you, I am loving what we've seen so far. Sure, there might be some simplifications left from Diablo 3 hanging around, but at least this time the developers are actively listening. Throughout the entire weekend, they kept asking for people to submit questions, both online and in like question boxes at the con, and they asked them to specifically deal out some difficult questions to the devs, and they just seem really attentive and wanting to make it right, wanting to make it the best game it can be. And I think the fact that the druid is in the game as one of the first classes to be shown even is a huge sign that they're listening. The two most requested character classes in Diablo 3 were the necromancer and the druid, followed by the Amazon, I think. At least this is from my personal observation. And now here they are, going full swing on the druid in almost everything they showed. They also told us we can expect more customization options, like in Diablo 1 and 2 you just picked a character and that's what you played. In Diablo 3 you could pick between male and female, and in this game you can apparently choose a bunch of like customization stuff for your character. They showed like 8 different faces in one picture. And then they were talking about how you could change scars, change hair, I think, change eye colors, weird stuff like that. So we might actually get some real nice character customization in this, which is really neat. But one of the biggest questions I had about Diablo 4 was how are they going to solve the conundrum that is the prime evil? And apparently they solved it. And I'm happy to say it's in the way I hoped they would fix it. This is not me saying I predicted anything, it's just me being happy that they did what I hoped they would do. The prime evil is separated into the 7 evils again. I didn't make it a secret that I was not a fan of the prime evil as a concept at all. Not even that big a fan of the execution. So the fact that all the 7 are out there again and can be pulled in anytime the devs want, and they already have 2 of them who've showed up this weekend. They first showed Duriel in a trailer, and I did not believe that was Duriel at first. I thought it was just a simple boss enemy, like a spawn of Duriel or something. But they confirmed at a panel that that was indeed Duriel, and then they showed concept art of Andariel. And she looks improved. I love the new design. Her design is kick-ass. It's so good. Makes me really happy to see. Apparently there's going to be mounts in the game as well, which is interesting because there's apparently going to be mount customization as well, customizing both the horse and the gear. I love the fact that they went back to the campfire when picking a character. That's a great detail, and I'm glad they're back to it. The seamless shape-shifting for the druid is a fantastic idea, and I love the execution of it. It looks great. I love how he goes from like a big bear rush to when he's at the target, he just starts clawing as a werewolf, and you barely notice him changing, and it's awesome. I love that idea. Also, the idea that the barbarian can run around with 4 weapons. So you have 2 main weapons. You have a 2-handed slash weapon and a two-handed like blunt slash slam weapon, and that you can bind them to different abilities. If I'm understanding that correctly, you can pick what weapon you bind to an ability. So the barbarian can pick between 4 different weapons to any ability that he wants to use. And the druid, for example, can pick what form he uses for every ability. So I think they said if you want to go around as a bear all the time, you can do that. Plus the druid has 2 good boys. Don't forget about the good boys. They showed us some really sweet tier sets, basically, like some real sweet legendary gear for the barbarian, the druid, and the mage. I'm sorry, sorceress. We saw some inventories. We saw some skill trees. Talent. It's going to be a big open world with seamless transitions in and out of dungeons, as well as dungeon floors, which is awesome. There's like 5 big regions in the game. We're going to see hell. Even though the game is a very grounded-esque experience, we're still going to see hell. I like the high-quality updated Fallen. They're looking great. I'm curious what happened to strength, agility, and intelligence, though, because it looks like we're only going to have attack and defense stats. So I'm curious what happened there. They confirmed runes for the game. I love me some good runes. Some condition and effect. Always fun. We saw some high-quality artwork of Lilith holding Diablo's skull. She looks a bit different from the reveal cinematic. Not as red and see-through anymore. The map is huge this time around, and it features a woodland area called Scosglen, which is apparently very inspired by Scotland. We have dry steppes, fractured peaks, Hawazar, and Kyrgyzstan is back. So we're apparently going back to Caldeum, and Caldeum looks way grimmer than it did in Diablo 3, let me tell you. And that's the entire map we'll be exploring in Diablo 4. But mainly I'm just so happy that Diablo is coming back in full swing and that they took some lessons from Diablo 3. Because from what I've seen so far, Diablo 4 is looking really good. The sad thing though is that it's at minimum 2 years away, I think. Well, I mean, we'll just have to manage, won't we? We'll have to play Pokemon Sword and Shield until Diablo 4 comes out. Because that's what I'll probably be doing. Or, you know, play through WoW Shadowlands and then waiting for the expansion after that when the Diablo 4 pops up. I'm really curious to see what other of the great evils they put into this game, because now we have 2 of the lesser evils that I think I ranked number 7 and 6 with Duriel and Andariel respectively. Now they are confirmed, and I'm curious if we're gonna see Mephisto, since, you know, Lilith is his daughter and all. It's going to be interesting. We're probably going to see Inarius as well, though the last thing we heard of him, he was locked away. I'm curious. I'm really interested in what they're going to do. There seems to be many options available to them, and I'm glad they're taking their time. Now, if Blizzard are smart, they would release this game at the end of the year, and in the first half of the year, they should release a remaster of Diablo 2. Like, hit everything at the right time. That way they could get people who love Diablo 2 to actually get back into the swing of things and get the Diablo feel going. Build the hype for 4. And new people could find the game and get caught up on what's going on in the story. Because Diablo 2 is not that welcoming for people who didn't play it when it was new. It's hard for people to just jump into it and actually enjoy it because it hasn't aged that well. Even though it's one of my favorite games of all time, it hasn't aged that well. But that's what I hope they do. I hope they release a Diablo 2 remaster first half of the year, and then they release Diablo 4 later the same year. Well, that was BlizzCon. Those were the big beats of BlizzCon. I'm really happy with how this year turned out. I made a prediction video 2 years ago about Diablo at BlizzCon, and nothing came true, so that was fun. But this was definitely the year. This was a big year, and I'm really happy about it. I'm a bit sad that StarCraft is nowhere to be found these days, but I mean, what can you do? Anyway, those were my thoughts and comments on BlizzCon. 2019. Oh, also the Ashava world boss. They talked about how you could team up for people in a party and stuff like that. They showed at least 9 people on screen at the same time fighting Ashava. So apparently world bosses are going to be a big thing in the game. But other than that, those have been my thoughts on BlizzCon 2019. Thank you so much for watching. I feel like this is, before cutting this all down, I feel like this is going to be a longer video, and I just want to say thank you for sticking around and listening. And I will see you all in Sanctuary. Take care.